What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a very special video. I'm joined with a good friend of the channel and my favourite basketball YouTuber, Casey Keirnan of AM Hoops. Casey, how you getting on?
What's up, Jake? Thanks so much for inviting me on. Obviously, Shaq throwing down. It was exciting to see.
Yeah, so as you can tell by the title, and you probably guessed with the fact we've got an NBA YouTuber on, we're here to talk about Shaquille O'Neal in All Elite Wrestling. But I guess before we get into that, were you a wrestling fan as a kid?
Yeah, as a kid I was. Yeah, I mean, I kind of grew out of it as some people do. But, you know, as I've gotten older, I haven't really gravitated toward the contact sports. Obviously, I'm more into basketball. I like American football as well.
Yeah. So who was cutting about when you were, growing up? Who were your favourites back in the day? Were you an Attitude Era kid?
Huh?
Were you an Attitude Era kid?
So there was a video game called, oh no, now I'm blanking. It was a video game. It was called like NWO.
Oh yeah, WCW, NWO.
Yeah,
Revenge
yeah.
or World Tour.
Yeah. And really, I just like to play those games. Macho Man Randy Savage, Jake the Snake.
Yeah.
I had these guys like action figures and stuff like that, and then I was pretty obsessed with the video game.
Class. Yeah. So I guess we'll start off. Just do you know the story going into the Shaq match, or would you like me to run through the timeline of events?
Yeah, I think you should kind of set the table there before we get into it.
So the guy Cody Rhodes, who was wrestling, son of Dusty Rhodes, wrestling legend, and one of the guys who founded All Elite Wrestling back in 2019. He went on a bit of a run with the TNT Championship. He had beat Lance Archer, who is a big, massive dude. He beat a guy called Wardlow, who's another big, massive dude. He beat this guy called Brody Lee, who's like sadly since passed away, but he's also huge. And Cody came out and he said, "I am the giant killer of AEW." When Jade Cargill came out and said, "There's one giant you've not beat, and his name's Shaq." So they kept teasing it week on week, saying it was going to happen, it wasn't going to happen. Jade was coming out, harassing them. Shaq was putting it over on Inside the NBA, hitting a spinning back fist on Kenny Smith's plexiglass and nearly snapping it in half. Mm-hmm. And we finally got to Dynamite there the week before the pay-per-view, which I think is the right move, because you'll get a lot of people going, "Oh, Shaq's wrestling," and then maybe staying for the whole show and buying the pay-per-view on Sunday.
Right.
That was pretty much it. Cody had he'd beaten a lot of big, tall, 6'8" monsters. And Jade Cargill said, "There's one man you haven't beaten. There's one giant you have yet to overcome, and that is Shaquille O'Neal." And then we get to last Wednesday, and Shaq was there. And I spoke about this on my review of the show on Thursday. I loved this match. But what did you think of it?
Well, I thought it was really impressive. Obviously, the table at the end, when he hit him off the ropes, that was a great finale. I thought that NBA players in wrestling is such a perfect idea because so much of it is the visual spectacle of what's going on. So much of it is visual, from the moves to the outfits to the intros, you know? And so just the massive size inherent in NBA players is perfect.
Yeah.
And, you know, you could tell that Cody Rhodes had taken down the Giants, right? Because one of the more impressive things for me was when he picked up Shaq.
Oh, the body slam.
And threw him down. I mean, the body slam was kind of like an optical illusion because Shaq was like twice his size.
Yeah.
But here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think did you kind of know that Cody Rhodes would win before the match? Because how could Shaq win? It wouldn't be a cameo, right? So, like Shaq would have to keep progressing.
So when it was originally sort of being pitched as a one-on-one match, I thought, Cody's going to beat him. But obviously, it turned out they got Jade Cargill over by picking up the win when Shaq and Cody had taken, both themselves out with the table spot at the end. And there was something that happened after the match that makes me think Shaq's not done. Because, a couple of years ago, Shaq showed up at WrestleMania in the big, Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And he squared off with the Big Show. And they were meant to be building to a match with the Big Show and Shaq. And it never happened. I think WWE are very they run their ship their way, and their way is all that works. So they kept talking to Shaq, and they were like, "Are you going to come back for this match?" And he was like, "I don't know. I'll maybe do it." And they were like, "Right, well, you need to come and train at our school on these days." And he was like, "Well, I've got inside the NBA,
Wow.
so I can't do it because I've got other commitments." So it never came to fruition. But I think AEW's on TNT. There's a lot of like cross promotion on NBA games, and I don't think he's done, because after that he was put in an ambulance, meant to go to the hospital, and then Tony Schiavone comes to. It's a weird segment. Tony Schiavone's like, "I know Shaq's in this ambulance, but I'm going to interview him," and then he was gone. He wasn't in the ambulance, so Shaq has got out, and the EMT's there like, "I don't know where Shaq went. Like, it's your job to look after this 7'2" monster who was too big for the ambulance. He had to scooch his feet up so they could get the door shut."
Yeah.
But I think Shaq's gonna come back.
Okay.
And I hope he does, because I actually really liked him. I think it was very clear to see that with him and Cody's portions of the match is that Cody was doing the work to get it bit to bit, but Shaq understands wrestling. The power bomb was great. All the chops in the corner was great, and the as we've mentioned a bunch of times, the finish through the table was amazing. I know I didn't expect Shaq to be doing as much as he did. Going in, were you thinking he was going to be doing the bare minimum?
Well, the thing that impressed me most that he did was when he had Cody Rhodes up and slammed him down, and it was the nature of the slam and Cody's kind of body positioning, and it was kind of like a ballsy move.
Was that Cody the power bomb?
Go through with that, because dude, like, yes, he lands like here on his back, but like Shaq's not a pro at this. What if he does that wrong, and what if he slams him 3 inches that way? I mean, that neck area with that force, it made me kind of nervous, but I was really impressed by the fact that A, Cody was like, all right, let's do this. Yeah. And B, the fact that Shaq actually executed that. And it was way beyond the bare minimum, and it showed kind of more skill than I expected.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I can expect him to go in, throw a couple like big overhand chops, maybe a big boot. But mostly let Cody lead him, or have like Jade and Red Velvet have a good match. And I thought they were really good against each other. But as you mentioned, the power bomb, I didn't expect Shaq to hit a power bomb or even to be body slammed. I thought, if anything, Cody's got a finisher where he sort of jumps off the ropes and comes back with like a spinning kick. And I was thinking, if Shaq's going to take a bump, it's going to be that. I wasn't expecting a body slam from Cody onto Shaq. But, I definitely think that it was very clear that Shaq was excited to be there, because he's a lifelong wrestling fan. And, I think we could see him come back. Do you think if he does, maybe 3 or 4 matches a year for a couple of years, do you think we might see some... Brock Lesnar only wrestles 5 in WWE. That's like his contract. He does 5 matches a year.
Dude, that's a huge commitment. 3 or 4 a year is a lot. How old is Shaq? Shaq is 49. Dude.
To be fair, though, wrestlers don't hit their peak until like 40. Chris Jericho was World Heavyweight Champion last year at 49 and had, for my money, the best run of his career.
One of the more surprising things for me was that Shaq was able to move around like he was. And, I mean, you see all of these guys. Granted, American football players are 10 times worse, but it was still surprising to see that he was able to move like that. And at 49 years old, 3 to 4 matches a month to me sounds like a big ask. Oh, sorry, a year. I meant to say a year. Even 3 to 4 a year to me sounds like a big ask. So I would be surprised. If that was your question, would I be surprised? I would. That would surprise me. For sure.
I was going to say as well, if he does, do you think we'll see sort of more cross-pollination, like with maybe, say, he calls out, I don't know, a guy like Lance Archer, say. He's another big dude, big, strong dude, so Lance could probably throw him around a bit more, but definitely be safe. Would you be surprised if, he does come back for another match and we have Lance Archer and a guy you mentioned earlier, Jake the Snake Roberts, who is his manager, showing up on Inside the NBA to promote it further? Because...
yes. And the reason I would say so is... cross-promotion happens at every network, number one. Number two, they kind of have a lot of air to fill on Inside the NBA, and we only see some of the highlights, the post-game, the halftime, but, they are on a lot more than just that. And so they do have a lot to fill, and There's even, I believe is it Tuesday nights when Ernie Johnson isn't even hosting? I forget the other guy's name, but they bring in D Wade sometimes.
Yeah, because I've seen.
So yeah, they have a lot more time to fill than I think most people are aware of.
Because I know that Dwayne Wade shows up every now and then. Because I saw him and Shaq just hitting threes on an ad break on, I think it was Wade's story. Because I know that they promoted. I know they did like a special 1 hour Dynamite in the middle of the playoffs, directly after Inside the NBA on like a Monday or something. I think it was actually after one of the games where the Lakers beat my beloved Portland Trail Blazers, and I was going to stay up for it, and I was like, "No, I'm going to bed." But they did that, and it got like a good response. But then, in the middle of the playoffs, they showed a graphic of Chris Jericho, and all of NBA Twitter just started clowning Chris Jericho because he no longer looks how he looked like 15 years ago. But then, again, with this, I saw a lot of positive feedback because wrestling's one of those things, sports, whatever you want to call it, that, sort of real sports fans always like to look down on because it is, predetermined, it is, scripted. But I've been seeing a lot of like positive feedback, and maybe that's to do with TNT's marketing. I mean, I suppose you might know more than that being in America, but is it promoted a lot on TNT, just in ads and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. During every halftime, pregame, postgame, you'll see an ad, and during the games, whatever announcer will do a little reader. But, wrestling is becoming more popular in America. It's funny. Is it that it's becoming more popular, or people are more comfortable just saying that, hey, I'm a wrestling fan, into my adulthood? I don't know which one it is, but
I think it might be a bit of both. Okay. Because there was a major boom on the independents in the UK back in 2016. Japan had its big boom for Western audiences around then as well. And then the American indies picked up late 2016, early 2017. And it got to the point that AEW was able to come out of nowhere with Tony Khan, guy who owns the Jaguars and Fulham FC, and just immediately have enough money to throw behind it that they are now, they immediately came in and were the second biggest wrestling company in the world on a major network. Yeah,
so it has to be enough interest to fuel two wrestling leagues in America.
Yeah, definitely. So just as well as an outsider looking in, did you watch the whole show or just the Shaq match?
No, just the Shaq.
Right. What did you think of the presentation, the production quality, I guess?
It looked right up there with WWE, I think. Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to think of, for me, production quality giveaways that are kind of low budget is lighting issues, the costumes, and it all looked A+ to me. I mean, the only thing that I saw that kind of was like, oh, okay, this is AEW, was I think there was like an advertisement in the background. I forget what it was for, or maybe it was the venue that they were at. Yeah, it was like a big, giant. Was it like Daisy something?
Daly's Place. Yeah, that is. It's owned by the Khan family. So
is it a venue or is it?
It's like an amphitheater.
Oh, it's an amphitheater. Okay.
Just outside.
Sometimes when I see the more low budget productions, they'll have like a lot of advertisements everywhere because they're trying to make up for the fact that they don't get advertising dollars from commercials. But honestly, that was it. Everything else looked A+ to me.
Fair. I guess a couple of closing out questions. Are there any current NBA players or people who are maybe a little bit out of the league younger than Shaq you think would be good in wrestling?
I mean, of course, do you know who I'm going to say already? Boban Marjanovic. Oh. He would be so great on so many different levels.
Yeah.
And by the way, you could not make Boban a heel.
Oh, no chance.
Dude, he's like so the number one most likable guy in the NBA. And he would be a really good soundbite, too. He's so great.
Yeah. I think...
he would be my number one overall pick there.
I think you can't overlook Donovan Mitchell with his big arms. Can clothesline anyone at any point.
That's true. Yep.
You're never safe from a spider clothesline.
He's so important to his team, though. I don't know how they would feel about that. Boban, I hate to say, he's a little more expendable.
Yeah, Boban's great. I love him. Just when you saw as well in the bubble all like the vlogs of so there was Matisse Thybulle vlog. Someone on the Wizards had one, and just everyone was just hanging out with Boban at all times. It was.
Yeah, he's great, man. Did you see his interview on TNT after he did well for the Mavericks?
No.
Dude, you should look it up. It is the funniest thing.
I'll get on
it. It's the TNT guys just laughing the whole time, and Boban having a great time. I love it.
Fair. I'm trying to think. I guess one final question is from your one taster of AEW, if you found out there was more Shaq or more anything like that, any weird big celebrity appearances, would you be inclined to tune back in?
Yes, I would, especially if it was someone that I was interested in. I mean, Boban, count me in. Taco Fall, count me in.
Yes.
Maybe some recently retired players. Maybe like a Dwayne Wade, someone with a TNT connection. But yeah, absolutely. If there was another NBA connection, I think I would tune in. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, yeah, I guess that's it. I will now give you the floor to plug away at everything.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Just AM Hoops over on YouTube. Just do 5 NBA videos a week. And sometimes it's opinions, sometimes it's stories. And then also the AM Hoops podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Perfect. I'll link all that below. And the Patreon
awesome.
As well. So,
yes, sir. Patreon or YouTube join, whichever one.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this chat about AEW and chat and all of the weird and wonderful world that is pro wrestling in 2021. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.